The Portal. Pete Parsons' final curse on Destiny. Introduced with the Edge of Fate, I have no doubt in my mind that everybody watching this knows just how terrible it was on release, being plagued with a ton of issues, but including, but not limited to, the power grind being way too tedious, the loot sucking activities being way too repetitive, solo ops being garbage, and just in general feeling like something that just sucked the soul out of Destiny. Now, that's not to say that there weren't some positive things that came with it, like the return of some vaulted content and there being a lot more new events like Arms Week and Call to Arms. But the bad massively and very understandably overshadowed the good, and to no surprise, it kinda nearly killed the game. Bungie has made a lot of changes to it since its release, though, and I'm going to see if those changes finally made the Portal good, starting with the power grind. So, I actually made a video way back when the power grind was in that terrible, terrible state. So, go watch it if you want to hear my thoughts about it on, like, that, how it was back then, like, my full thoughts of how much I fucking hated it. But anyways, it still sucks. At least from what I dealt with, since I did reach max power in Ash and Iron, but it was still extremely just overwhelmingly tedious. And from what I know, it still is. So the way it originally worked is that as you played, all your loot drops would increase your power, until you got to, if I remember correctly, it was 200. At that point, you had to use the Portal's scoring system. What you had to do was put on modifiers that would increase the score multiplier as well as the enemy power level. And that resulted in you having to sometimes suffer through absurdly hard activities for just a single +2 or +3 drop. And on top of that, the power increase from drops would get lower as your power got higher. And you had to go through this until you got to 400, at which point you had to rely entirely on prime engram drops, which weren't even guaranteed. And you had to do that to get to 450. And when the major update for an expansion released, the power cap would be increased to 550. And meaning you would have to suffer through 100 more levels of that. And all of this resulted in the fastest way, and probably the only way to get to max power, being farming the Caldera solo op. This ended up just being extremely boring, as not only were you playing the Caldera, the same activity over and over and over again, but if it was also the most boring activity type in the entire game, since solo ops are just glorified lost sectors. You couldn't even play the playlist either, since the scoring from it wouldn't even give you drops that increased your power. But that's not all, because on top of all that, your power level would be reset with every expansion. Meaning you would have to do this all over again every 6 months. No wonder people hated this. This was absurd. Even I, somebody who loves this game to death, I've been playing this for like 5 years, over 4,000 hours in it, I nearly quit over this. Thankfully, though, Bungie does seem to have made a lot of changes to it, with them being first that modifiers in the challenge card would no longer increase enemy power. Then they made it to if the fuck then they made okay then they made it to where that what the fuck what the how the why the fuck I write this then they made it so that when you were 450 or higher you would get guaranteed +1 power drops. Then they made it so that the prime engrams dropped off more often. I think I don't really remember for sure on that one, but yeah. And they also made it so that bonus drops also increased your power. Your power would also no longer reset with every expansion. At least they showed it so that Renegades would not extend your power. I don't know for sure about like Shattered Cycle. So yeah, but anyways, back to the thing. Oh yeah, they made it so that whoever in the fire team has the most bonus drops for the activity you're playing, everybody gets that amount of bonus drops. Those are all the major changes I remember. And on top of these, they also did increase the drops from various activities. The grind does seem to still be tedious, but nowhere near as bad as it was on launch. Thank God for that. These changes did shift the fastest way to grind power from Caldera grinding to just playing whatever had the most bonus drops. Thanks to that, since I had built up max bonus drops on nearly every single activity, I was able to skyrocket my power like probably around 100 levels, since I'm pretty sure I was at like, I think that I was at level 400 at the time. But after that, it did slow down tremendously. I kind of did just end up grinding out Reclaim, since it was the only activity with 3 drops, while also consistently having matchmaking available. Also, I just want to say that for the power resetting... Oh, wait, no, I already fucking said that. Anyways, having the power level be the main grind was probably one of the worst decisions that they could have made, as having the tier of your loot be tied to your power level just really makes no sense. And this actually leads me into my next point, the loot. When the portal launched, the loot got completely... the whole, like, loot system, it got completely reworked. They added a sort of tier... They added the tiering system where the higher your power level, the higher the tier of the loot would be. This is kind of just idiotic, as you aren't rewarding people for playing harder content. You're just rewarding them for increasing a number. And with the way the tier system currently works, anything that isn't tier 5 is kind of just an auto dismantle. They also added armor set bonuses, where if you equipped 2 or 4 pieces of armor of the same set, you'd get a unique perk activated. Or 2 if you did the 4 things, whatever. They also reworked the stat system. Overall, I'd say that these loot changes are actually pretty good for the most part, but I have a few issues with them. Firstly, the tiers themselves. These only drop from content inside the portal, meaning that everything released before the Edge of Fate, including raids, is now completely redundant. They ended up like literally sunsetting 99% of the game with this. World drops also aren't tiered, so all of those are just also, again, auto dismantle or infusion fodder. Next is new gear. The way it works is that if you use something that was released in the last expansion or major update, you would deal increased damage and take reduced damage. This is another really bad change, as it puts you at a direct disadvantage compared to other people that are actually using new gear. Plus, since if you had bought the expansion, you'd have access to more new gear, so in a way it was also a little bit pay to win. I know it exists to encourage people to use newly released stuff, but there are better ways to do this, like introducing new weapon frames like they did with the rocket pulses, or more interesting perk combos. They were already, like, for me at least, they were already getting like the whole like new interesting loot thing fine, because with every season there was at least one new piece of gear that I grinded out. The loot pools are another issue as well. You see, solo, fireteam, and arena ops, they all share the same loot pool. The only categories with unique loot pools are fireteam ops and not fucking fireteam ops. I'm fucking stupid. Pinnacle ops and crucible ops. But even then, crucible ops has nearly the exact same loot as fireteam ops. Fucking brain farted there. Sorry about that. And lastly, and this is something that I do not see anybody else talking about, but there is no way to visually identify which guns come from what playlist or category, whatever the fuck you want to call them. But like the guns you get from Pinnacle Ops, they have nothing unique about them visually, no special geometry, no special color scheme, none of that to differentiate it from like stuff you get from Fireteam Ops or Crucible Ops. Now this problem didn't exist before, because if you did something Vanguard related, the guns were blue and orange. If it was Gambit, the guns were green. And if it was Crucible, the guns were red. This was fine. But now, the guns you get from like Pinnacle Ops and the guns you get from everything else, there's no way to tell them apart just by looking at them. This is really more of just like a minor inconvenience than anything, but it's really pissing me off. Now for the changes that Bungie made. They haven't really made any. The only one I can really remember is with New Gear, because when Renegades launched, they altered it so that it would also include the stuff from Edge of Fate and Ashen Iron. Bungie's probably going to remove New Gear, honestly, but I can't say for sure. It's really just like, sort of like a gut feeling that I have like regarding that, if anything. One other issue that they also semi-fixed was the feat system. I don't really like this system in general because, you know, with the regular portal activities, you get tier 5 loot from doing basically nothing, but with this, you have to, like, impose a bunch of, like, stupid challenges on yourself just to get tier 5 gear from it. I know that I complained earlier about, like, not getting tier 5 loot from, like, hard content, but, like, this, you're already getting tier 5 loot from, like, easy content, so, like, you have to also, like, for this, you have to not only, like, basically skyrocket your power to max, but, man, well, I mean, it doesn't also operate on the scoring system, which is how tier 5 loot gets determined normally, but, I don't know, I feel like the feat system could use a rework, honestly, because I don't like having, like, basically complete a dungeon 3 times or whatever with a bunch of different feats active just to unlock the ability to actually get tier 5 loot. I don't know, I don't like the feat system. It just feels like it could have been done a lot better in much more of like a fun way, honestly. Now for my final point. The activities that you actually get the loot from. On introduction, the portal had 4 categories: Solo Ops, Fireteam Ops, Pinnacle Ops, and Crucible Ops, with Arena Ops being introduced later in Renegades. These categories are kinda stupid, at least to me. Solo Ops are basically just lost sectors, Fireteam Ops are just strikes, Pinnacle Ops are a mashup of exotic missions and seasonal activities like the Coil and Onslaught, Crucible Ops are just Crucible stuff, and Arena Ops are 6-player activities. Really, the main issue here, at least for me, is that there is no reason to play one activity over the other. Like, there's no reason to play like Savathûn Spire over the Empire Hunt, the Warrior Empire Hunt, or anything like that. Besides like bonus drops being available, but I'm talking outside of bonus drops. The reason for this is because, well, there's no incentive to, you know? There's no activity-specific loot, no, like, unique perks or anything. There's just nothing. The funny thing is, too, is that Bungie already has the perfect opportunity to fix this by just reissuing old seasonal loot and tying it to the activities from their season, like tying the Season of the Seraph weapons or the Ikelos weapons to, I don't know, a fucking like a heist battleground, you know? This would be the perfect way to add a lot of variety to the loot in the portal without making the drops pool extremely bloated. You don't need to reissue every gun from the season either. Just one minimum, and maybe the armor set with a set bonus as well. And yeah, the strikes aren't seasonal, so they wouldn't have loot. That is definitely a bit of an issue there, but they could just add the destination loot instead. This is probably the easiest way Bungie could fix this, and probably would also satisfy a lot of the community as well. And it would also, in my opinion, make the portal a lot more fun to play as well too. The next issue is that not every activity has matchmaking. I'm fine with this, but really just only for Pinnacle Ops. There's no good reason why every activity in Fireteam Ops is not matchmade. There's just no good reason. Solo Ops is also an issue. Like I said before, they're basically just lost sectors. Like just remove these. The only thing they're good for is at this point is just farming portal kills, and even then the Thrallway and the Whisper just beats them at it. So just remove them. And the last issue for the activities is the revive tokens. Ordinarily I'm fine with them, but when the game barely gives you any, like in the Coil or Contest of Elders, it's just really infuriating. Especially if you have bad teammates, which is, trust me, 99% of the people who use Fireteam Finder. I don't know if they've actually fixed this, like for the Coil or whatever, but like in Contest of Elders yet. I think that they said that they've been looking into fixing it. I don't know for sure if they've I don't really remember or know for sure if they have fixed it yet though. As for the changes that Bungie made to the activities, they haven't really made a lot, like the loot. They've really only increased the drops and added a few new activities and, added arena ops, but that's all I can remember regarding changes to them. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, from what I remember, when the portal originally launched, none of the Fireteam ops had matchmaking, and then they added that to like 3 random so that it made so that 3 random ones would have matchmaking each week or something, or they rotated daily. I don't really remember. Oh yeah, I just remembered the whole like Vanguard order system or whatever the hell they called it that they added with the where they made the playlist actually usable, like for grinding up power or whatever. But yeah. I forgot to mention that, but they did add that, and I do like that, honestly. That is a pretty good change. It's been a while since I last actually, checked the daily, matchmaking activities in Fireteam Finder, though, so yeah. That's why I don't really remember. Anyways, so, in conclusion, is the portal finally good? That's up for you, the viewer, to decide. Personally, I don't think it's good, but it is on the road there to being good. If you do or don't agree with me, let me know in the comments below. If you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you. I know that the video probably sucked, like the editing was probably dog shit, but again, thank you for making it through all the way to the end, through all my really annoying rambling. Just I'd really appreciate if you did leave a like, and share it, and also maybe subscribed as well. But anyways, that's all I have for you, and I'll see you later.